Okay. Okay, time up.
Let's look at this activity, and guys, we have a few more follow-up things to do.
Alright,
There's a whole bunch of user stories out there. We will figure out what to do with them, right? But before that, any insights into how was your user story writing experience?
We need to start off, but once you got into
Sorry?
it was a bit hard to start off getting into persona, but once you get into it, it kind of flows.
Okay, good. Yeah, you had.
Once you start thinking down a lot of scenarios. And we got a little bit caught up between registers because we had two features. Registers as a seller and registers as a buyer. Thinking product-wise, they might end up using the same. And then we get stuck between they are two personas. Do we keep them separate or do we merge them?
Right, yeah. These are interesting conversations that you will have when you're actually doing it, right? Should we combine some of this? Do we need to have persona-wise or feature-wise and feature-wise? You just combine a few of these.
Logically, there's no understanding of what the process might feel like, what the flow of your interaction with the app is, and don't talk about that. So rather than writing registration and doing servicing, we know if you thought about how something flows, this might go down.
Yeah, exactly. And this is how your team will feel if you actually give these stories to them, right? People would miss the big picture. Now, typically, right, you have a big solution and you have like hundreds of people working on it. You have multiple products. There are so many different features. And what at times could happen is that as a Scrum team, if you are a Scrum team, you have your user story, your product, you have your feature. That's it, right? In this big scheme of like hundreds of user stories that's out there, you're just looking at maybe this set and really closely looking at one little user story. And that, what happens then is that whatever you are doing afterwards, you're not keeping in the big picture in mind. Your team is too narrow focused. They don't keep things end to end. They're just looking at the story and doing exactly what is necessary for that particular story to be completed. They don't really worry too much about, oh, will it fit in the bigger scheme of things? Is it the right way that we are doing? Or should we look at that other pieces because you must need to work with that? Right, that's where we need to come to the next step of figuring out meaning in this.
Right. So as Shijo rightly said, so far it is good. So we've identified features, we've identified user stories, but is this good enough? Probably, if you look at some of the values and principles from Agile, it says the team should have enough conversations which will help them to be on the same page. But is this good enough to have those conversations? Probably not. That's where we should bring out some kind of techniques which can help them to be on the same page, bring in the sense of visualization, bring in the sense of collaboration and conversation, and at the same time give them the big picture. So there are a lot of techniques being tried and tested in the industry. So one of the known technique is called user story mapping. It's by Jeff Patton. You can search online, you'll get good material about it. The good part of this technique is that it has borrowed the agile thinking, the lean thinking, lean startup, as well as it connects the dot in terms of what you call user experience design. So some of you may be familiar with UX-centric or user-centric design, UX thinking, user point of view. This technique actually combines the elements of user-centric design, the lean thinking, agile thinking, the lean startup, some of the techniques like user, the impact mapping, the user experience point of view, the how in particular activity is done by a user. So we are going to try and test and learn a little bit about this technique, how this technique can help you to bring in that visualization and conversation, and also this is not good enough. You need to identify MVP, the minimal viable product, and talk about the dependencies in terms of your user stories, and also go forward in terms of identifying which team or which feature or user story should be picked up by which team.
Alright, so let's go slow. Let's go slow, guys. We will not do everything all together. We'll go one by one. Alright, Manju, I bombarded you guys with so many things. So if I need to summarize this user story mapping, this is nothing but a walking skeleton of your entire user story. It's a kind of backbone on which you will build the product. So just think from the perspective. With that, we are starting the first activity of this series. We will complete 3 activities on this. The first one you have a chart paper in front of you, and it's written personas, egos, and activity. You use your user stories now, like whatever you have written, and you know your personas. You can write your personas on top of that and group your user story based on the persona on that. Now you forget the feature for now. For now, you just forget the feature, or you can say, when I will use this sheet, you write whatever persona it is, the feature of those personas you have written, it will go in egos, and the activities you have in the activity section, your user story will go. So you have written
All the post-it what you have done so far,
it will be used on this. Any questions? Have I confused you guys? No?
Do one with us first?
Sorry?
Do one with us?
Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah, let's get started, right?
Alright, let's get started.
First part is you can start putting the personas.
So maybe I will write on the personas for this. Yeah,
we
maybe
can write a post-it what's the persona. And
John is one persona.
Yeah.
If I will ask you guys, what is the feature you define for John?
Write in the post-it the persona and then paste it so that you can later remove
later
the
move around. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. If I give the example, yeah, just to give you guys example. So this is for the team. Alright guys, so to give you the example, John is a persona over here. The key goal we have defined from this team is register as seller. And these are the user story that as John I want to register as a seller. These are the key activities they have done. So just group like that. You have still confused?
And just one note, you put a post-it for the persona also so that later you can move it around.
Yeah. So let's start. We'll help you.
Yeah.
You guys are clear?
So start writing the persona's name and list down all the features. So what are the features you guys have identified? So
Oh, sorry, so what we did was, these are the three features.
okay.
These are the three features that make it. I'm sorry.
So start writing down, or posting those features here, and underneath start identifying those user stories, or start posting those user stories.
What did I mention if I ran on
So let's use this. So
We are going to
Roland is
First you guys will
seller, right?
over there and then we will see that what can be done.
So that is the next here. Both the sellers and buyers.
The walking skeleton. What do you think? When you do the mapping, what do you see as the single feature?
So what are the key features you have identified?
Should we be writing another one? Is that the key over here?
Yeah.
And what inside?
No, this is for the entire product. So the any features related to this particular person, I think it is to actually the sound other than the
Another way to do it is, say you've got things like avatars or whatever, and each student
Yeah, we
like how much that's
Guys, just that we are doing this exercise, we did some homework from our point of view, like how this typically mapping has to be done in terms
we
of
also did on the
features, in terms
Let's
of
see that. Yeah, we did our
Ashish is
homework.
going to give a reference of
So
this.
just see that
From
now you will see
our
the
point
bigger
of view.
picture when you try to
Doesn't mean
relate
that's the right thing.
that what you guys
Help you to
are
understand
missing
this
or what you
further.
guys can have done better or what we missed. Maybe you are doing something which we have not done.
Ashish.
Yeah. This is our homework, we just relate it.
This is our, for your reference, what we thought.
This is a kind of homework. So this
This is our point of view. We not in the-
what you guys are doing, what we are doing, you need to think a little bigger or we need to think a little.
also you've done it, so you've got registered there, registered there.
We can do that. Multiple ways of.
We go to the next one. How you see that? The next activity we will see that how you Alright, so
Guys, have a look. Give us a minute, have a look.
if you guys want us to explain that example, we can explain that example to you guys. In the register side, they have
Searching to typically for a
search
buyer.
and sort they have money.
Oh, okay.
The view, like register is one big thing. In that they can do like
So how does the price assign?
Searching is for buyers.
Is there any relevance to the assignment?
yeah. So like we for each person, like communicate with the buyer.
You
That
can
only
do the
seller
mapping of
can
the
do.
personas. You can do it here.
Buyer cannot communicate.
Oh, okay, so it's like this. Oh, okay, that's where I was confused.
Does it make sense?
But it's bigger complex systems,
This is our point of
right?
view.
Be able to reach one just for
And guys, actually if you look at here,
Oh, no, I just thought that.
so when you break down feature into user stories, we tend to, or we have used, possible prioritization. We'll get into anyway as part of next activity.
So when you see like till here, from here till here, it is for the
Buy-
seller.
seller.
From here to here, it's for the buyer. And so think from like it's just kind of reference to you. You don't need to exactly follow this. Just a food for thought. Should we go to the next one? Next activity.
Yeah.
Behind.
Right.
I mean, I feel like
So are we good? Are we on the same page, guys?
Let's go to the next activity, guys. So you guys have already put your feature, but you how about like have you thought from a perspective that which feature should go first to the market, or you have just clubbed it all together? Just clubbed it all together. So now we are going to the next exercise. You have clubbed all the things together. Now think from a perspective that as a business owner, as a product owner, what you would like to release first and then second and then third. So I'm not saying anything more, I'm just saying that identify something you will go for the first thing. Rest of the things you ignore. Just the essential minimum viable product for the first release on your list. What do you want to release in the first cycle? So that is the second activity for you, if you are done with the first one.
Okay. So now that you identified the sample here, do you think it makes sense to implement all systems?
So what you guys should debate more on this.
It should be conversation.
guys should really debate that why something should go on the
So what essentially we are trying to do is use the prioritize technique.
debate more when you are voting something that someone have difference of opinion. That I think it is something that we cannot really
Yeah, you could have a name.
something else is
That's
more
your
valuable.
basic registration, yeah.
Try to break that thing. When you have put that to be item to be released in the next day. If you think that search is not right, registration is right. Without registration, it's not search. Someone thinks other.
Yeah, that's, so in terms of, you're building,
Somebody to sell it to and from.
so it's, in terms of, at the end of every sprint, having releasable software. So say we could execute one user story, that would give us something to test and release and get feedback on from the customers.
So here's my thing. So the thing is, how do we create a community? How do we get people on the same platform? So I'm a seller, you are a buyer. In order for us to connect, we need to have a platform. In order for us to have a platform, we need to have an app. You,
So if you guys are worried about the technique, just give me 1 minute.
second step would be backlog.
Just give me 1 minute. If you guys are very worried about the techniques that how we should prioritize, it's not a rocket science. The necessary item, the first necessary item, it will go to the first release. The less optional and the more optional. Think from that perspective. Like definitely, without registering to a product, are you able to search? No. So just think from that perspective. And the more you discuss, the more you debate, it will be a good and it will be good for your product. All right, go back.
Let's say an deployment guidance for
So yeah, basic registration is there, and then add projects. So as a seller, we can register as a buyer, we can register, and we can add projects. We need to view products. Yes. Add to cart. Acknowledge payment.
You guys, can I just upfront. You know how to take things of them. Can you put one?
Because actually, I asked that in the interview last week.
Could you do a 1, 2, and 3, 4 weekend and just do it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? No. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this project. I'm doing the project technique. And I'm not just over it. So I'm just doing 1, if you use now, between 1 and 2, which one is the top? 1, is only 1? Yes, agreed. Between 1 and 3. 1? Yeah, okay. Between 1 and 4, which one is the
Yeah, but when the search
Between 1 and 5? 1? Between 1 and 6? 1? Between 2 and 3? Three? Between 2 and 4? Three? 2 and 4.
So that you don't need to register to buy the trade profile.
Between 2 and 4?
So two is more important than you can pay for it without the profile.
I find a product.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, okay, two. Do you two and five?
And you have to
Okay,
do
team.
product five.
Just
Can we? Yeah, sure.
one more.
Yeah, one more minute. Okay.
Yeah, do two and five.
Yes, you can get five.
Five, two and six.
On exchange, like
Yeah, six, three and four.
So that's
Three and four.
Actually, we want to talk about this.
Three.
Yeah, three and five.
Five.
Five, three and six. Four and five.
So the basic registration is the other one. Because you can leave without the registration.
Four and five. Five, four and six. Five and six.
Yeah, it goes below five. I get the point.
Okay, so this is very good. There's a lot of confusion. So how many?
Okay, team. It's time to get into the next level of activity.
One.
Now that you have identified features, can I have attention, please?
How many four we have?
Yeah, good. All right, so this is something we have done for you guys. Let's see how we can correct it. It was a stack, not a pattern.
Folks, now that we have identified features and user stories, and what we are trying to do was to identify high level, the user stories which should go as part of MVP, which is minimum viable product. So we did that exercise, and just to give you the user stories, once we prioritize using technique like Moscow, so we'll get like must, should, could. And how do you do this prioritization? As a product owner, do you think you can do alone? That's not the intent. That's where it's a collaboration effort. We need to involve the development team, which will bring in a perspective. Hey, product owner, the search feature seems to be awesome, but you know what? This is hard to implement. We can't implement all search features by location, by price, by quality, and quantity. So can we do maybe a minimal thing in release 1? Say only by location and category? Okay, awesome. So then, once you start having this conversation with your team, what essentially you do is whatever the user stories which you have identified, you tend to move around, up and down, and try to arrange in such a way that you have a walking skeleton, or the minimal thing you want to go with release 1. Is this enough? No. Probably you want to know what effort it's going to take. That's where the sizing matters, the user story sizing. And also, at this juncture, you also want to understand what are the dependencies. Though we say the user stories should be as independent as possible, but do you think that is feasible in most of the cases? There will be some or the other dependencies. So how do we bring in that element of identifying the dependencies, sizing, and bringing the element of prioritization? That's where the visualization will help you. So what we have tried to do here, if you see, we have considered MVP, which is release 1, the bare minimal user stories which is required. If you go back to the handout which is given here, so we from our point of view, we identified these are the minimum set of user stories which should be going as part of release 1, and considering those user stories, we started doing t-shirt sizing as a technique. T-shirt sizing as a technique, you must be knowing like small, medium, large, which will kind of give you an idea about what is the volume of work involved when you talk about MVP. So are you going by a fixed timeline, or are you going by the content? So that will help you. And what about the dependencies? So probably say you want to make buyers talk about make some reviews or talk about a particular product. But do you think that is feasible unless and until you build a collaborative platform where these people can come and write the reviews? The similar way, now if I am if I'm a buyer, I want to view the product, but unless this, the buyer is enabled on the platform who can post the produce, you will not be able to view. So do you see the dependencies now? So then how do we take care of it? So then you start marking those dependencies with some kind of an element, like maybe a different color stars, different color stickies. So you know these are the dependent elements, or these are the dependent user stories which has to be prioritized in such a way that you need to take care of it. Is it making sense?
Can you give us an example?
Okay, so if you see here, if I am a seller, first I will register as a seller. Then, we were assuming that okay, if I am a seller, I can select option like I can make a payment and select some kind of a package like brown, silver, gold, where I will have access to say 100 customers. I will have access to 1000 customers. So based on that, I will register and make a payment to the app owner to enable me as a seller. But unless somebody from the business team, which is an app owner, enables this buyer or enable this seller, the seller will not be able to add the list of products into the system, isn't it? So that's a dependency.
So based on this, you see, you are seeing two red stars.
Yeah.
So definitely these two are different. The first thing is view the product details. Without seeing the product details, you cannot definitely see the product on the advanced search. Like this is for the search and this is for the advanced search. Same way, like these are connecting dots. Either this is falling in the category of managed products, but definitely this is something.
Can you scroll right?
Yeah. There is something which is more dependent on that. So I will go in the dependency one slide is totally for that. So I will go for that. Yeah. Next one.
No, the Excel. Go back to Excel. Okay, can you scroll towards the right? So essentially what if you see here, unless maybe you build some kind of a payment gateway, so you cannot make your buyer to register in the product, isn't it? So you need a payment gateway to be built.
Your buyer need to pay to you to come to the app. Like, it's not a free app. Yeah.
So assuming that it's not a free app, you are building it so that a seller will come and register with you, and he or she will get access to buyers. So then, unless you build in such a platform like payment gateways or collaboration platforms, you will not be able to make other features to work. So this is the dependency, and this map will help you to identify that in a visual way. Now, if your team member comes, hey, I want to implement this feature or this user story, but they clearly know that unless this is done, probably you'll not be able to go further.
Sure.
Yeah, Ashish.
With that note, so you guys want to give it a shot on the dependency. Now you know the dependency part. So with this activity, you guys want to try the dependency. You have example in front of you that what can be dependent on what. So let's give it a short exercise for 5 minutes, and let's try to connect dots. You have a different color of markers in the hand. Just put the dots on the dependent story, and then you will try to figure out that either you defined the MVP1, but there is something in MVP2 or release 2 which needs to be done before the release 1 item. So then your prioritization change suddenly. Getting the point? You thought from the feature and the business perspective, but you never thought from the dependency perspective. Now you think from the dependency perspective.
Sorry. Are we building in that order, or are we doing that?
So this is the release.
So we're trying to get dependencies over and above those that are going in the
Not 100. These are the stories we need to develop for these.
On this product collaboration platform Backlog,
So since I
so basic collaboration platform, unless we have this list, you can't have these yeah.
There is not a time to
This is priority.
Okay, yeah.
In release 2.
and then later when you use your it actually depends on what is your handling. You want to run this machine, so maybe you can choose the way up, so that's going down.
So these sort of, these blue ones,
Features.
Yeah, so that's what we
I added my product or I would get rid of everything and I would put it
Yeah, much more efficient. Yeah, that's much better. It's an apple. Oh no, it's an orange. Oh, you make a mistake. Oh, oops.
I pushed it for a chicken the main version. Sorry.
Alright, so should we come back? Alright guys, come back. Come back guys. So, this is a program board we have taken from a real-time environment, that how a board looks after the dependency, we call it threading. This thing we call it threading. Like there are different techniques to do the dependency markation. One you did right now by putting the similar color of dots and you saw that what is dependent on. There is an interesting take in this. Once you do the threading, you will see that there is a dependency where the consumption and production is happening in the similar thread. Is it possible? No. Like this, this feature is significantly dependent on this feature. And if you see, it is getting developed here and getting consumed over here, which is definitely not possible. There is something which is in second iteration, but three of the stories are dependent on this. So, which is definitely not possible. So, what happens after you do the dependency marking on the threading? It is a kind of visualization in front of the team or the product owner to see that there is something wrong in the planning. You should take a step back and now think from a different perspective that how we can make it a more effective planning. So if I go for the legends over here, the blue things you see is a feature and the red thing is a significant dependency over there. And the orange is milestone. So to reach this milestone, we need to complete these all features. But when I started the threading, when we started the marking, we saw that, oh, it's something horribly wrong. We need to move, we need to change the plan. So plan is good, but you should be ready to respond to the changes. So that's the idea when you're doing the dependency marking. So the message is simple, that when you put something in front, don't only think from the business perspective. When it comes to the execution, you should start thinking more towards the technical dependencies. There can be different techniques. One is the marking, another is the threading.
Do you guys remember how we started? The whole flow? We started with vision, then what was the next one? We first features something else? Circles. And then features, the prioritization, then comes user stories, mapping, all of that. But again, this is not the only way, of course, to do things, right? I just heard one of the experience from this table. You want to just quickly talk about how else you have done this story mapping?
I was just saying that what we just did then was a top-down decomposition. So we started with what we thought were features, and then we sort of mapped them into stories.
Right.
The other approach is kind of a more bottom-up style, where you just put down as many things that you can think of at the same level as a story. And then when you get the stories, you find that some of them are related to each other. And then you group them together on the board and go, this group of stories actually becomes an epic. And then you write the epic to put that under.
Awesome. Wonderful. Any other experiences? Anybody else tried this features story mapping?
I mean, what I've done is that in my past, maybe pretty much related to you, vision, initiatives, feature, and then breaking those down to epic and user stories, and then finding what are the dependencies and how mapping it.
Similar flow.
Similar flow. Okay.
So we kind of simulated that flow with you guys over here. It's not a 2-hour workshop actually. It take 2 days, 3 days, 4 days kind of thing. So go in detail. So we are not sure how much we were able to cover and give it to you guys. So the question comes: is it really simple to do, or are there challenges? Is there pitfalls? So anyone want to share their challenges and the pitfalls while they were doing it? Like the story you shared, it is an ideal thing. It's a good picture.
No, but that's how we did it. But that doesn't mean that it actually worked.
So what were the challenges?
So challenges, the biggest thing was that the thing is, when we come about agile stories and all those things are, that it's a mindset change, right? The pitfall, I would say, rather than going through all of them, one of the thing was, when it comes down to the user stories, and there are people who are engineers or people who are BAs from the past experience, oh, we have been doing this, oh, we have been doing that, and no, we don't want to do this way, we would like to do this way. So rather than so there is a pseudo Scrum or pseudo, bit which runs in parallel, which you have to actually suck up for that time just to get them on board.
Right. So we call it a Scrum bug. Yeah. So yes.
I was going to say, I found that one of the challenges that we had was that the features and the stories are kind of disconnected from the context.
Yeah.
So another layer of design process on top of this is user journey mapping.
Exactly.
So you actually see, you pick a persona and then pick the elements of the stories that actually create an end-to-end experience.
Yeah.
And that can become your MVP,
Yeah.
that end-to-end process.
Yeah.
And then you can build that out after that.
That's exactly what user story mapping also talks about. You should take it in that spirit.
So when we started this workshop, we started with a game, and we were trying to figure out, we were trying to build a complex product with multiple teams. So Shijo, you are coming from an organization Cisco, which is a product company, and they basically deal in solutions. And they have, what I have seen, like a bigger solution have multiple product owners. So what is the real life challenges you face as a agile coach there, or what do you coach?
Yeah, in fact, even the application that we are developing, right? Maybe the business owner has multiple other applications, like there could be, this kind of platforms for, we are talking about vegetables, maybe something for poultry or anything, right? And that's how, like the Amazon story, you keep adding to that. So you might have multiple products. In fact, in your companies, you would be having, probably hundreds of product owners in the bigger organizations. But at least handful where they all come together and they need to work on this feature prioritization together. They need to look at what can go in the first release. That's where the challenge comes, right? Where you have, let's say you have features which cuts across products. We call them solution features. So let's say you have solution features from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you have products P1, P2, P3, let's say P4. How much can be done in the first release for these products? Maybe for solution feature 1, roughly, right? If you go with you could go with t-shirt sizing or story points. Let's say for the first feature, the product 1 need to contribute at least or have to execute at least 100 points worth of stories. Maybe P2 need to do 200. P3 need to do nothing. Product P4 50 points. For the next feature, you might be doing 50 points here, 20 points here, 500 points here, and then 20 points here. Like that, right? And then you need to look at what's the capacity for the first release. Again, I as a product owner for P1 cannot decide that, okay, my release is ready, I'm going to release it. Customers are not expecting that. They're expecting a whole solution to go out together. So you might have dependency not only for executing, but even for releasing your product out to the field. So what you have to then look at the capacity calculation for each of the teams. Maybe like your Scrum teams, if they are doing it so and so velocity per sprint, and you're talking about a 6 months release cycle for your solution, which again need to be decided by the team of product owners. What is the minimum viable offering that we can come up with, right? And what's the timeline for that? And you look at let's say 30 points per sprint, and you have 6 months for the first release, then into 12, right, roughly, or 13 maybe, so which takes us to 390 points for this team. And if this is like, let's say 50 points, then it comes to
so it's a kind of forecasting we are giving, like based on
50 points. So like that, you look at that and then keep filling this table, and draw the line where you think all of the products can actually get their this list of features out with the capacity they have. Maybe there are certain features which are like only specific for those products you will have, right? So you would add that, but not violating this list that you agree upon with the rest of the organization.
So on the whole, I can see like product owner job is not easy. It's to satisfy the customer, satisfy the business needs, satisfy the team at the same time. And it's not easy, it's very challenging. And definitely when challenges are there, fun are there. So, but the whole idea, what we were driving together over here while we were doing the different activities, that how to look at the bigger picture. It's not about only one user story. On the top of user story, there is something else. There is a persona, there is a dependency. So how to get that bigger picture? That was the key takeaway we wanted to give it to you guys. Anything which you would like to specify that you got from this workshop, which you were looking for and it helped you?
I would say that it was really well structured. It was really nice. You guys really worked really well as a team. And I think this is the first time sort of I've seen this one, but this is actually another way we can actually do those user stories. So good.
So there are multiple ways to do that. So we were debating among ourselves that what all we can give. We never wanted to confuse you guys, so we thought that let's start with one technique, and that way we started. Yeah, the basic idea from where we started and the topic from where we built that topic, that as a product owner, our role is not to write the user story. Our role is to give a purpose and the vision and a big picture to the team, so that a team will be highly motivated. They will know that what I need to build. There is no confusion in front of them. They know what is the right priority for me. There is no 3 P1s for me. So that's how you will build a highly motivated team, when you have a clear purpose, clear vision in front of the team. So that was the message from our side, guys. And these are some reference, like the images you see, the persona, and also there is a lady Ria Brown. She works for the UX and all, so it's all her work. And we got inspired by Jeff Patton a lot, and so these are our references. Thanks a lot, you guys were wonderful. We learned a lot from you, and it's a question answer time if you have anything, because I think we have still some 10 minutes if you have any questions.
That's a shukriya.
Alright guys, anything you guys want to share, or you want to take a little early break of 10 minutes?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No, that's how big of it, that's good.
Yeah, so we are done with everything.
That's their backbone.
Yeah, that's our backlog. We were
Presentation done like that.
MVP.
Presentation done like that.
So we want to ensure we don't miss out anything.
Oh yeah.
In fact, we have done a persona mapping. Who is going to do what?
Yeah, I can see that.
and the sizing, everything. So while we were preaching the backlog, so we were doing the backlog work over here.
Yeah, I mean, I see a point you can achieve with it. Yeah, post-it notes and the pane of glass. Yeah, that's. Yeah. What's the question?
For me, I've been out of Scrum for 2 years. I'm getting back into it, so for me it was big. Especially when I'm the only one that's agile trained in the whole project.
So you got again, you got a revision?
Yeah, it was revisions. Because I haven't been doing it for 2 years. That went over the top of my head.
Okay, so what he was saying, like, we work for Cisco. Cisco builds a solution end to end.
Oh, no, and it's what, the gentleman was talking about.
I'm
Oh,
telling
yeah,
that
cool.
Cisco builds a product which is end to end. Right?
Yes.
Suppose you are calling to customer care.
Yeah.
So when you call to any customer care, you hear a voice that please press 1 to go to that. But a person who is working on that side, who is receiving your phone, you have